Greetings, here is your magical D pentatonic baritone flutatina. Thing is pretty nuts. I don't make them this big all the time, but I just got lucky. This horn was I just liberated this horn from an antique store. A lot of the times I am finding my horns either from reputable taxidermy shops or antique or thrift stores or secondhand stores, people that are just like kind of holding on to old stuff. This one was found in Salem, Oregon, in just a regular old antique store, just sitting on a shelf. And the main thing I can tell you about it is that this is a redwood cap. It's very soft wood. If you apply a decent amount of pressure with like even your fingernail or anything, it can get scratched or scuffed. So when you're handling this thing and when you're transporting it, wrap it in like a cloth. That would be some maintenance tips or pointers for you. It's got a little piece of malachite on the fetish block right there. That's a piece of cedar and malachite. This is what's called the fipple, this little rectangular slit. Very simple, standard mechanics for most recorders and Native American style flutes and ocarinas and things like that. So this is a combination between a flute and an ocarina. It does have a tone hole. So the air kind of leaks out of here as well as from the finger holes and from the mouthpiece. But it's these creations that I'm making are kind of like a hybrid between a flute and an ocarina. They are reminiscent of a gemshorn in a way. Gemshorns are flutes made out of horns, normally water buffalo or any type of buffalo. There's what they're most commonly made out of. With this one, let's see. The hole spacing, there's a thumb hole in the back, so you cover that with your thumb. Left hand goes on top, right hand on the bottom. I would do the peace finger method for both holes. If there's too much of a stretch, I would switch to the ring finger on one of them so that you can, mind the gap. You can pretty much do it with, pointer finger and ring finger. So it's up to you, whatever's most comfortable. And then when you blow, just rest your bottom lip on this part and your top lip on the little rounded, as you can see, there's like this little rounded little edge right here. You can rest your top lip on top of that. And your main aspect is you're just trying to blow wind through this small little slit. So as long as you've got your lips in the right area and you're blowing gently, let's say we'll start with all holes closed, which is resting position. Super bassy. Very, very, you don't even have to put too much wind into it. It'll make the thing vibrate. Those are all your notes that you have to work with. You've got a full pentatonic minor. You also have two added extra notes in there, which are just a fun climb down in the intervals. And they're achievable by thumb hole closed. You got to keep the thumb hole in the back closed. All right. And then, so then close this would be 4. The thumb hole in the back is 5. All right, so basically 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is in the back. So close 4 and 5, and then you can drop down. Actually, thumb hole's open. I apologize. So it's to keep the, so you got to close 4, keep thumb hole open in the back, and then these are the added notes. So those are those like extra notes that are in the piece. Just play what comes naturally. Since there's only 5 holes, there's not a lot of complexity to the instrument, which makes it easier for beginners right off the bat. The only thing you might find is that some of the holes are a little bit on the larger side. So as long as you've got medium-sized hands, for the most part, you should be fine. And so main thing, just rest your bottom lip here and then the top lip up on this one. Make sure you're only blowing air through the slit. Make sure that no air is leaking out of like the sides, when you're trying to shoot air through it. Very simple. Aside from that, most horn stuff that I know of, from Druid or Pagan or Norse, mythology, there's definitely a lot of Viking influence with these horns. People have, been known to make drinking cups and, kind of flagons and gourds out of them and stuff. As far as general overall like myth and lore about them, I only know of the gemshorns and the shofar. The shofar is an Israeli kind of didgeridoo-esque style horn that you would blow like this, like a trumpet, and it would toot. You've probably seen some old like movies or even Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings where the enemy was tooting on a horn and making like a loud noise. So like these have been utilized for things like that, as well as standard household type knickknacks and whatnot. But I'm just doing something new and different with them. There's other people out there across the globe in different parts that are making things that are kind of similar. But everybody's construction, tends to range, and attempts are different. So mine is like kind of a fusion, like a hybrid between a flute and an ocarina, and it could be considered a gemshorn for sure. Those are good things to research if you want to just know more about things like that. I'm really into ethnomusicology and world music and whatnot. So when I realized that I could start making instruments out of tons of different stuff, I just I went crazy. So this is a big passion of mine, and I hope these little tidbits have been helpful. And there's really not much to this piece to stress over. It's just if resting position is all holes closed, remember to keep that bottom this tone hole always has to stay open. Okay, it always has to have air coming out of it. So if you're playing this thing, don't like put it near your body because you might close the hole just by proximity. So keep the hole open. That's the whole scale. Very gentle breath. Just keep me posted with if you dig it. I hope that's helpful. And my pleasure. Enjoy. It's a really fun, super cool treat. You could always take the mouthpiece and like buff it. You could buff it with like some carnauba wax or like walnut oil, linseed oil, anything that's food safe. You don't have to do too much on this thing to keep it in tip-top shape. Just wrap it in a cloth if you're traveling with it, and treat it well, and it will treat you well. So thank you so much.